And Florence joins me in the studio. Good morning. The right-leaning press thinks different changes have to be made.
That's right. Well, first of all, we're going to take a look at Libération, which is a left-leaning newspaper. And what they're doing is they're focusing on the forecast of growth that for 2013. Basically, all French media agrees on the fact that the growth forecasts, well, they're not very rosy. They're going to be somewhere between minus 0.1% and 1%. But what does that actually mean for France and French society? Well, that's on the front page of Libération. That says, well, what do you do with zero growth? If zero growth becomes structural, if it becomes long-term, well, this could implicate some very serious changes in French society, and Libération takes a closer look at what it calls this upheaval which would take place. There would be three phases in this upheaval. First of all, a redistribution of wealth to decrease inequalities. That would be necessary, according to Libération, all this to avoid social chaos. There would also be needed to be a reduction, actually, in the amount of time that people work, because this would mean that more people would be able to work all those hours. And finally, there would have to be a real change in the kind of energy we use, because that is very expensive. And Libération says maybe there could be a fourth bonus change, which would be to stop obsessing about the public deficit.
And now the right-leaning press thinks different changes are going to be made.
That's right. L'Opinion, the business paper, also looks at this. It also agrees that the current social model is untenable, but it has a different idea on what needs to be changed. It says that with such weak growth, it's impossible for the government to keep the promises it made to older generations and integrate younger generations, and what's really needed is real reform. The truth isn't as sweet as an afternoon tea at Matignon. That's what L'Opinion says today, and that's referring to Matignon, which is where the Prime Minister headquarters are, because yesterday the Prime Minister, Jean-Marc Ayrault, welcomed about 300 underprivileged kids who couldn't go on summer vacation. And Le Figaro takes a closer look at this meeting, which actually turned very political for Jean-Marc Ayrault. He's in charge now that Hollande is on vacation. And, well, he said that this was really, he was focusing on the future here. He was focusing on the France of 2025. He said, we're doing everything we can to fight the crisis and pave the way for all you kids. And it's interesting to note that he also tasted honey that's made at Matignon for the first time. And Le Figaro says this is a way to show that, just like those bees, the government will eventually get there in the end.
Okay, well, that was the domestic news. Let's have a look at Mali, the elections there. They're also getting a lot of attention in the French press today, with focuses on the challenges awaiting the new president.
That's right. It's on the front page of L'Humanité, the communist paper today, that says that this is a president with his back against the wall, and you see Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta there. Now, L'Humanité says he's really going to face the expectations of Malians. He says that the country is riddled with war, corruption, and poverty. He has his work cut out for him, and he really has to hit the ground running, according to L'Humanité.
And the peace talks between Israelis and Palestinians, that's getting a lot of attention too in the French press.
That's right. It's getting a lot of attention in Le Figaro. It's on the front page today, and it likens it to a construction site that's started again after 3 years. Now, Le Figaro does point out that these much-awaited peace talks could be somewhat clouded by Israel's announcement that it plans to expand Jewish settlements on land that Palestinians are hoping to create a state on. But in its editorial, Le Figaro looks at just what the chances are of these talks actually reaching a peace agreement, and it's quite surprising, but Le Figaro is very hopeful. And it says that a lot of people are skeptical about these peace talks. A lot of people say nothing is really going to happen, and maybe it's because expectations are so low that something is going to come out of this. So Le Figaro says we should actually be quite hopeful about these talks.
Okay, well, staying with the Figaro, it takes a look at an unusual warning to the French wine industry. What's all that about?
That's right. Well, Le Figaro says that French wine vineyards could actually be the target of money laundering. Now, this is in famous regions like Bordeaux, etc. A lot of chateaux and domains have been bought up recently by foreign investors, especially Chinese foreign investors and Russian foreign investors. And, well, Le Figaro says that the Financial Secret Service is keeping a very close eye on these investments and says that there could be some money laundering going on.
Oh, dear. Okay, thank you very much, Florence. That was the French press review. Well, that's it from me for now. I'll be back with more headlines in a few minutes, so do stay with us if you can. Bye for now.